good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. This is Josefa Fawcett. This is JFI Radio Live, and I'm broadcasting to you today, live from Norway. I have to feel like one of the hosts in the Eurovision Song Contest. The votes are in. Let's go over to the Norwegian panel. May we have your votes, please? Hello, hello, hello. This is Norway calling. We have the results from the Norwegian panel. Oh, please, just indulge me. Indulge me, because I absolutely love the Eurovision Song Contest. It is true to say. It's true. I'm here in Norway, and oh my goodness, I had forgotten what it was like to go live on location. It's one thing to go live when you're in your own country with both of your machines there, your microphones and everything, but going live on hotel Wi-Fi with one laptop and a microphone that broke down, I think. So please forgive me. What you've got in front of you, instead of my face peering into a microphone and doing the recording as normal, and doing the broadcast as normal, not the recording. I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. What you've got beautifully in front of you is the Aurora Borealis from here. And you know what? It was out last night and I was so tired, having travelled all day, I missed it. So please, it should be available again now. And oh, if I could see anything that looks like that wonderful moving graphic that you've got on the screen at the moment, the Aurora Borealis, then I will be so pleased. You might know it as the Northern Lights, and it gives the most wonderful natural light display in the sky, usually at high latitude regions on a clear night. And as I said, do you know what's strange? What's strange is that I'm looking at Facebook, and a lot of my friends back in the UK have been seeing the Northern Lights, and I'm here in Hamar in Norway, and I missed them because I was asleep. I was crashed out. But you know what? I'm going to try again tonight. I'm right next to a beautiful lake. I'm going to go out, venture out last thing tonight when it's really dark, and see if I can find them. Now, the last time I was here in Norway was back in 2023 at a conference with the ICDE, which is the International Council for Open and Distance Education. And we were at a conference in Lillehammer, and my colleague, Andres, I shall mention him a bit more later, has an app on his phone that tells him when there's a chance to see the wonderful Northern Lights. And we were both ready to get up at 5 a.m. in the morning and meet at the front of the hotel and wander to a nice dark place to see it, but unfortunately there was too much cloud cover. I really hope that I'm successful this trip. Andres, I don't know if you're awake yet, because you've just literally flown back from Spain, and I know you probably got back at 1 or 2 this morning. However, if you are listening, can you get that app on, please, Andres? Because I would really love to know if I'm going to get a chance to see them today or at some point during my trip here. I really hope so. Now, for those of you that are joining me each week, you know that this is a live podcast, and that means all the bloopers. And if you wonder where I was, probably about half an hour ago, I was sitting in my hotel room. I'm still sitting in my hotel room, broadcasting live, but the internet went down, and of course you can't broadcast live with that. So I've been struggling ever since to try and get back online. So I am a little bit later than normals, but welcome. I'm really pleased if you are here and you're listening to me. I know that a couple of you have been asking me where I've been, so here I am. If it's your first time here, let me tell you what I talk about. I talk about stories from my week, from across my professional areas, which are business training, lifelong learning, open education. I also talk about AI, learning tech, human resources, quality improvement, and business excellence. And of course, I scour the globe looking for the latest news all about all of these things. And I bring you a quick roundup to whet your appetite. Now, this particular occasion, I'm actually bringing you a singular topic on the news today, and it's all about OER. That is my topic for today. So listen out for the news a little bit later on. Now, if you go to JFI and you scroll down on that page, after this broadcast, you'll see a great big blue button, and that takes you, it's linked to the replays and the news links for each broadcast. Okay, so what have I been doing this week? Well, I'm still doing my facilitation of groups, which I mentioned last week. It's going really well. However, the main topic, I suppose, is me getting myself ready to come here to Norway. I'm working with a client, and I'll tell you a bit more about that later, and a series of people from the regional area here in Hammer. I was pronouncing it Hammer, as in the shortened version of Lillehammer, which is where I was in 2023. But it's not Hammer, it's Hammer. Hammer. I hope I'm getting it right. I'm sure I'm going to be corrected at some point. And the workshops I'm going to be running are looking at a whole range of things to do with adult learning, lifelong learning, and how AI is starting to impact outside of an academic environment, but with learning generally. So that should be really exciting. However, let me take a pause for a moment. Yesterday was World Mental Health Day, and for those of you that are on Facebook, you might have seen a picture of mine. I've been following the trend that has been started this year for World Mental Health Awareness Day, where you take a black and white picture of yourself with your eyes closed, where indicating and representing the fact that you take a moment for thoughtful reflection, particularly about people who are struggling with their mental health. And there's a big billboard up in Piccadilly Circus in London, and all of the pictures are featuring as part of a massive exhibition on that particular billboard yesterday. So I have to tell you that it was really a thoughtful process. I mean, apart from the fact that I was absolutely exhausted yesterday, and it wasn't too difficult for me to shut my eyes, but I took a picture and it was accepted. And you'll see on my Facebook page the picture that was accepted. But there was another reason why I shut my eyes and I reflected. Just before I jumped on the plane yesterday to get here to Norway, I got some devastating news that a friend of mine, Professor Dr. Ulrich Schweiker, had suddenly passed away, not this year, but at the end of 2023. We'd not spoken in some months, and none of us in our small group had really known that this had taken place. It was only when my colleague Ina in Germany contacted me with this news, which was in essence less than 24 hours ago. I met Ulrich when we both served on the executive board of the European Consortium for the Learning Organization, ECLO, and I was Secretary General. Now, ECLO had been founded many years earlier, had been founded in 1993 in La Hulbe, and was registered in accordance with Belgian law as an NGO. And the aims we had were to promote the concept of the learning organisation and act as a contact point for business with universities and academic institutions, and we had close links across both, and we explored new ways for working collaboratively across industry and university and strengthen organisational learning within both of those areas. And we worked on learning projects funded by the European Commission. Thinking back, we were really ahead of our time. And it's a great shame that after 17 years, the consortium finally closed its doors in 2010 and we all went our separate ways. Except Ulrich and I stayed in touch for quite a few years. And then we spent some time together with two other friends, Galina Hausova from Russia and Ina Reisel from Germany. And we four decided to have a collaborative team meeting. Well, as you do, except Ina rented a nature house in the German forest in Rech an der Ahr in the Rhineland. And while I was there, I did a podcast. All the links, by the way, are on my JFI Radio website page to the live podcast. It was episode 43, and it was all about collaborative team working. And it was so much fun, I can't tell you. Anyway, I decided after getting my news yesterday that I was going to make this episode, this show, dedicated to my dear friend Ulrich. And so I'd just like to introduce you to him. Introducing my lovely colleagues. I'm going to start with Ulrich, who is here on my right. Ulrich, a little something about who you are for my JFI Radio listeners and where you're from.
Well, that's not fair to start with the most difficult question. I'm from Lower Saxony, which is in the northern part of Germany, but I've been very early in my career a global player. So I have been pioneering, and I'm still pioneering a lot of things. That makes it very difficult to tell who I am, because I'm something like a hybrid or an amphib. Well, one of my professions is I had an academic background as a psychologist, but I worked most of my life in career counseling, consulting, coaching, and organizational development in almost all industries, in almost all areas of the world. I'm still enjoying teaching. Probably 1/3 of my work is dedicated to career consulting and helping the next and the second next generation to understand their world. I actually teach at an open university, far distant university, where we have 16 study centers where we meet in person, but the rest is virtual. So most of the teaching goes over the internet. And then I'm teaching at Braunschweig University and at Mannheim University, a private one.
So that recording was from 2017, and you saw some of the wonderful photos that I took from the balcony of that nature house over in Germany in the Rhineland. And as I said, I'd like to dedicate this podcast to Ulrich. And after the news today, I have something very, very special to share with you, which now, given the current news, can never be repeated. And it means it's very precious, and I hope you will enjoy it. Current day. Let's talk about Norway. And the real reason I'm here, I'm working with Voksenopplæringsforbundet. Andres, you are probably laughing hysterically now. And also you, Thomas, my lovely friend Thomas, at my poor Norwegian. I'll try it again. Voksenopplæringsforbundet, or known as VOFO for short, or in English, the Norwegian Association for Adult Learning. And so VOFO, it's an NGO. It's an umbrella for adult learning in Norway, and its members are government-approved adult learning associations with a member network of over 400 adult learning NGOs nationwide. Now, its central administration office is in Oslo, and it's got regional offices covering all 19 counties in Norway. And its purpose is to advocate for the common interests of the association and promote non-formal adult learning in society in general. And I'm going to be facilitating some discussions about the impact AI will have on lifelong learning and the way it will influence educators and their teaching methodology. Can't even get my teeth in correct today. Oh dear. On day two, I'm going to deliver a workshop for those who run the volunteer centres, and the aim being to help them structure a project based on a common activity to empower inclusion in learning. And it's going to be really exciting. This work brings me back to VOFO, and I have a lot of very happy memories here. Some tinged with sadness for a second reason, because I remember working in the Oslo office with William Evans, Senior Project Advisor at that time, and with him, we and a couple of others, also from Norway and Italy, we created a project management game as part of a European Commission funded learning project. Now, unfortunately, William has since passed quite a few years ago, and I now work with Andres Lopez, who holds the same role that William had. And together we're developing new learning ideas, and I'm really privileged to be back here, this time in Hamar, and ready to do these workshops. Now, before immersing myself into work, when I arrived yesterday, I had to embrace Norwegian life with Elgburger. Now, for those of you that aren't familiar, this is mooseburger with a wonderful lingonberry and sour cream sauce. Sounds strange if you've never had moose, which I never had. Oh my goodness, was it delicious. And I had to experience fika. Now, fika is a concept, it's a state of mind, it's an attitude, and an important part of Scandinavian culture, many of whom believe that it is essential to make time for fika every single day. So it's about taking time for friends and work colleagues, and you share tea or coffee and a little cake, and you slow down and you remember what it means to be human. This time with friends is also often called hygge. Now, hygge is a Danish, I think it originated from Denmark, and it illuminates apparently the Danish soul. My friend Lena, who may be listening to this, might be able to tell me a little bit more. In essence, hygge means creating a warm atmosphere and enjoying good things in life with good people. It's about taking time to be relaxed, to be away from stress, and involved spending time with friends and being in the moment, enjoying it with all of your senses. Now, in Norway, the word is slightly different. It's koselig, and it's the Norwegian version of hygge. Both concepts, they're very much the same. It's about feeling cozy and finding joy in little things and being with people that you like and taking time out. But it's more focused on the social aspect and the connection with nature and outdoors. And Koselig is very important to Norwegians. Maybe because of the dark, long winters, it's a way to have something positive to look forward to and keep people happy. Koselig, it's a nice word. It's a way to find joy in those moments, especially where it can be difficult to do so. And I suppose Koselig and hygge and fika, and thinking about William in Oslo, and thinking about Ulrich, and thinking about World Mental Health Day yesterday, everything came together so amazingly well. And yes, it was my moment. So that was my news. What about the global news? What about the news that I have to share with you? And this is a special. and this is all about OER. Please enjoy.
JFI.
You're listening to JFI Radio Live. Here's the latest training and learning news from around the globe.
JFI Radio Newsroom, here are the latest global news headlines. North America.
The United States Department of Education announced a major expansion of its open textbook pilot program, allocating $100 million over 5 years to support the creation and adoption of open educational resources in higher education institutions across the country. While OER adoption in US schools has been increasing, the specific figure of around 70% is changing year on year.
South America.
Brazil launched a national OER repository called Recursos Educacionais Abertos Brasil, aiming to centralize and promote the use of OER across all educational levels and address some of the educational challenges across the country.
Europe and the UK.
The OER Advocacy Committee is an initiative of the International Council for Distance Education, a 75-year-old association focused on open learning and distance education. The committee focuses on promoting the adoption and use of open educational resources in distance education and online learning, supporting the UNESCO OER Declaration signed by member states at the World OER Congress in Paris in 2019.
Africa.
The African Virtual University, in partnership with several African countries, initiated a continent-wide project to create and adapt OER for STEM subjects, with a focus on materials in local languages. The AVU has partnered with various African countries to create a series of open educational resources in local languages, making STEM education more accessible and inclusive.
Asia.
India expanded its Study Webs of Active Learning for Young Aspiring Minds platform, integrating AI-powered personalized learning pathways and adding thousands of new OER courses in multiple Indian languages. This expansion aims to make education more accessible and inclusive for students across the country.
The Middle East.
The UNESCO World OER Congress in Dubai in November 2024 aims to bring together policymakers, educators, researchers, and other stakeholders to discuss the role of open educational resources in promoting equitable and inclusive education. The Dubai Declaration is a statement of principles and commitment and outlining the vision for OER in the region and setting goals for its implementation. The Congress is conducting a survey to gather data on OER usage, challenges and opportunities in the Middle East, providing valuable insights for policymakers and educators.
Australia and New Zealand.
The Australian government, in collaboration with New Zealand and Pacific Island nations, launched the Pacific Open Learning Network, a regional initiative to develop and share OER tailored to the unique needs of Pacific Island communities. And finally, Antarctica. While not typically associated with educational initiatives, research stations in Antarctica began a collaborative project to create open educational resources about climate science using real-time data from their research to educate students globally about climate change. These courses have been created in collaboration with the University of Edinburgh in Scotland. This has been an OER Global News Roundup special for JFI Radio Live. Come back and listen again next week when we're back in the UK. Welcome back. Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that news. And as I said before, all of the links to all of the news stories will be on my jfiradio.com website page. Oh dear, I'm going to need a strong coffee after this. Go on to jfiradio.com, go down to the big blue button, click replay and links, and you will have, certainly within the next 20 minutes, as soon as I come off air, I'll put all the links in there and you can follow up any of the news reports that took your particular interest. Now, in this second part of the broadcast, you can get involved in the show by typing your comments or questions using the comment section in YouTube or on the JFI Radio Facebook page if you're listening from there. Best thing is to do it on YouTube. Click on the live tab in YouTube and click comments. And I can see that there is a comment there already. Nkechi, hello to you. How wonderful. How wonderful to see you here and listening to me. I am so pleased. Thank you. What a wonderful comment that you say that it is inspiring. That is, it's what I want to do. You know that I want to share news. I want to share views. And so, yeah, this is really special for me. And I'm delighted that you're there. Yeah. And, thank you. Yes. I'm pleased you like about open education. It isn't new, and yes, it's being adopted by many continents to make sure that everyone has access to education. And it isn't new, but certainly we're taking our time to make sure that everybody understands that it's available. And yeah, we'll just keep on getting the message out as much as possible. And so thank you for your lovely comments. I've got a few more things to share with you, though. So hang on in there, Nkechi, and please share. And if there's anybody else out there that is listening to me live, please, on YouTube, click on that live tab where you're listening, go to the comments and post a comment, and I will share it online live. Of course, while you're there on the YouTube channel, please take advantage and subscribe to me. I would so love to get to 100 subscribers by the time at the end of 2024. Now, as ever, I pick up one of the items in the news, and the one that I'm going to pick up today comes from Europe, and it is specifically about the European approach to OER. Now, I mentioned the ICDE, and I am privileged to be part of one of their initiatives called the OER Advocacy Committee. Big shout out to all my wonderful colleagues around the world who are on the committee with me. Now, we play quite a crucial role in advocating for policies and initiatives that will support the development, the sharing and the reuse of OER worldwide. And our main objectives in the OER Advocacy Committee for the ICDE is to raise awareness, to advocate, to build partnerships, and to provide resources and stories about OER use. And we attend events, we organise events, we publish research, we provide guidance. We're quite a busy group. Now, for my part, what I do is I'm looking at UK and Europe, and my other colleagues take other parts of the world. And I'm launching in a couple of weeks' time a little sister to JFI Radio Live, The little sister is called Podcast Pearls. And on Podcast Pearls, I will be providing little stories about all sorts of things. And my first two stories are all about OER. Now, they're little because they're 11 minutes long, and I really hope that you will catch them. If you go to the JFI Radio .com radio page. I'll try that again, shall I? jfiradio.com. If you scroll down, there is a link to the pearls, the podcast pearls, and they are coming soon. Oh my goodness. It's been a very interesting show. I'm just going to change the ticker for you because at the bottom it's just to highlight to you that I have got a lot of back episodes of JFI Radio. I've been doing this since 2015, so 10 years nearly, and they're available on Spreaker, they're available on Apple Podcasts, and they're also available on Spotify. And if you want to go straight and listen to some of my back episodes, then you go to tinyurl.com/JFIR-Spotify, and you will be able to listen to all of the other topics. Similarly, if you have any news that you would like me to share, this week was an OER special, but otherwise we do news from all over the world, everything to do with business training and learning and AI tech and open education and quality and business excellence, then just email me your news to studio@jfiradio.com and tell me what's going on in your part of the world. So we're coming to the end of this live broadcast now. And as I mentioned at the beginning, it's dedicated to my late friend, Professor Dr. Ulrich Schweiker, who I had learnt about, had passed very suddenly only 24 hours ago. I'd learnt about it, but he'd passed at the end of 2023. And he would have loved, he worked for the Open University in Germany, and he would have loved everything to do with open educational resources, and probably would, very modest man, would have been probably straight on the phone or the text to me to say, what have I done to dedicate this to him? But I wanted to do this for Ulrich and to celebrate the time that we spent together, both in Ecklo and in Germany, in that beautiful nature house, and then again in Moscow. And it's this part that I want to share with you. I want to end with a very special talent of his that nobody knew about until we four friends stepped into the apartment in Moscow of Galina Haustova. She was a famous world-class pianist and has now since shifted into the business world and runs a telemarketing company. And I got to know her through Ina. And let me tell you, it was December 2017. We had just supported Galina at one of her conferences about telemarketing, and the four of us went back to her apartment. The snow was absolutely chucking it down. I was flying back later that night, so we went back to her place to have supper, and guess what? We had a power cut, and so we ate our soup and bread. The soup was cold, but we sat round the kitchen table, we ate our soup, and we warmed ourselves with Higa, if you like. And Ulrich then took us into her small lounge and we gathered around the piano, and he then demonstrated something we didn't know. We all knew that Galina was a world-class pianist, but we had no idea that Ulrich could play. And he demonstrated his little-known skills. And what follows now is an incredibly rare archive footage of that moment that I want to share with you, which is a really fitting end to this particular podcast. Just before I do that, I just want to pick up some of the live comments that are showing I'm so pleased you're finding it inspiring. And oh, hello, True Lies Limited. I know who's behind True Lies. I know it's you, Perry. Oh, shout out to Pelly Halloran, a director at True Lies Limited. Perry, it's 10 years since we've last seen each other. Oh my goodness. Yes, I am still podcasting 10 years later, and you are very lucky, Perry, that I didn't find that wonderful picture of you and me with our mouths wide open at that conference in Manchester. I will find it, I promise you. Oh, Nkechi, thank you so much. I'm so pleased that you are loving the live, and you're in, it says live from Solo? I'm not sure. No, I'm live. I'm live from Oslo. Actually, I'm not in Oslo. I think that's a spelling error. I'm not in Oslo. I am 45 minutes down the road from Oslo, and I am in Hammer. And so I'm just getting right. This is what happens when you get live and you get live comments coming through. Thank you all very, very much indeed. I am now going to finish this podcast. I'm going to say goodbye to you now, because as soon as this next piece finishes, the podcast will close. Dedicated to Professor Dr. Ulrich Schweiker and his hidden talents, and the four of us just luxuriating in Higa in a cold, snowy Moscow apartment in 2017, just leading towards, if you like, the Christmas events. And Ulrich, I'm sorry that I'll never see you again, but this is a wonderful way to play out. I hope you all thoroughly enjoy it and have the most amazing weekend.
And if I remember this one.
Well, you've heard the very first part of our live broadcast from here in the northwestern part of Moscow. We're at the home of Galina Khastova, and a professional pianist. We are a collective of friends who came together in Germany, who have history with each other from a variety of different work environments. And because of our affection for each other and our ability to work collaboratively, we've come over to Moscow to present at a telemarketing conference run by Galina. And as a wonderful tribute to both her and to our lovely time here in Moscow, and to celebrate Christmas 2017 with all of you, this is a JFI Radio special, never to be heard again. We don't play music on JFI Radio, we talk. But tonight we're playing music. We have Ulrich Schweiker, a psychologist, and we have Galina Khastova, a professional pianist, and together they are making some of the most beautiful music.
this morning.
Wow, well done.